You're listening to the Blissful Bites podcast.
Welcome to Blissful Bites, a food entrepreneur podcast. Each week, we bring you a successful woman, inspiring message, or business tip to help you build a sustainable business you're proud of. Now, your host, Nicole Culver.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Blissful Bites podcast. I'm really excited about today's interview, and I know I say this every week, but I wouldn't have these people on if I wasn't excited about them, so I hope that makes sense. Today's interview is with Ariane Alexander. Ariane is a Rock Your Life coach, and she's also an actor, so she has both of those things going, and I think that makes her really dynamic and unique. When she emailed me and reached out to me about being on the podcast, she totally caught my attention because she included a link to her latest show that she was on, which was The People vs. OJ, and I had totally watched that series, so it caught my attention, and I just had to have her on. I know you're going to find her energy absolutely contagious. You're going to leave this episode absolutely motivated and inspired. So I really hope you enjoy this interview, and don't forget to share it out any way you want, or just share it with a friend that needs some extra motivation in their life. Hope you enjoy the episode, and let's get started. First, a word from our sponsor, Kit Life. I know I can use all the help that I can get with organization. A lot of times I have little notes and different notebooks all over the place, and Kit Life is the perfect solution for this. I know if you are anything like me and you need help staying organized, then this is a great planner for you. Make sure you check out kitlife.net for planners and products specifically designed to help you do more, be more, and give more. With beautifully crafted daily planners that focus on so much more than a simple to-do list, kitlife.net adds value and vibrancy to your daily life, and so much love and care went into every single page. There's so many little details like little health tips or shopping lists that really will help you stay organized. Team Kit's mission is to enhance happiness through planner tools that encourage productivity, thankfulness, healthy habits, and a spirit of giving. To get 10% off your order, enter code GRANOLA at checkout. Visit NicoleCulverblog.com/KitLife for more info, and don't forget to enter that coupon code. Ariane Alexander is a Rock Your Life coach with a master's degree in spiritual psychology. She helps women see the possibilities within themselves and create a life and career they've always dreamed of. Ariane helps women overcome their fears, self-doubt, and any other obstacles blocking their path to create the foundation for a new life and journey. Ariane, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, Nicole, I'm so glad to be here today. Thank you.
You do a lot of things, and you sound like you do really amazing work with women. So can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah, as you said, I'm a Rock Your Life coach. So I work with amazing female entrepreneurs all over the world. And the women that I work with generally have their own, obviously they have their own business of some sort. I work with all kinds of health and fitness experts. I work with other coaches. I work with women who have online businesses. And they come to me when they want to obviously build their business and create more success in their business. And what we do is we create very clear outer action steps and goals to move towards. And the most important part of what I help them do is work on the inner work and the resistances to clear out all the obstacles to actually moving forward towards the life of their dreams. So I kind of call myself, I work with spiritpreneurs because it's the inner work to achieve the outer results.
I love that. And how did you actually come up with your name, your Rock Your Life coach? Because that's so unique.
Thanks. It is unique. And that's been such a process. And how I came up with that is I was working with one of my business coaches, and I was like, everything's so boring out there of like life coach and business coach and success coach. And my personality is I'm like a fireball. Like I walk in the room and everyone's like, hey, the party's here. Like the fun just happened. And that's just my energy is big and fun. And sparkly. And I also work in Hollywood. I also am a working actor. And so I have this awesome, like glamorous part of my life too, as working as an actor on cool TV shows. And so when I was talking to my business coach, I was like, I just love to help people rock their lives, to like step out of what they think is even possible and just rock it. And she was like, oh my God, that's it. You're a rock your life coach. And I was like, you're right. I am.
I love that. I feel like I need a really fun title now. So let's just go back to what you said. Why did you decide to just work with women?
That is such a great question. It's not even that I necessarily chose to just work with women. It just evolved, because that's who when I thought about my ideal customer, it really was a woman. And that's who started coming to me. And I did a couple speaking engagements where I was on stage at other people's events, and it was it was all women, and they would just, want to work with me immediately. And so I just found my tribe. So it wasn't even that I specifically chose it. It just evolved. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to roll with this.
Let's talk about that inner work. I feel like that's something that people are a little confused about when you kind of say that quote inner work. So can you tell us what the inner work is and what it really means?
Yes, the inner work. And it's such a great question to help actually flesh it out so people understand it. Okay, so let me give you an example. One of my clients, she is building her business in the health and fitness. She's a health and fitness expert, and she's building her online business with videos and online coaching programs and products. And she's amazing at what she does. So as she starts to move forward in building her business online and reaching new customers and, doing things like this, guest interviews and podcasts and blogs, she gets really resistant, and all of her fears come up, because what happens is she says to me, what do I have to offer? Like, how am I different from anybody else that's doing this? And I'll never have the business that I desire. And I just don't know if I can do it. I'm overwhelmed with all the things that need to be done. So that is the inner experience that's coming up to resist against what is desiring to be created. She wants to create this goal, and she's moving towards it. But anytime we start moving towards this thing that we really desire, our ego will bring up all the reasons why we can't do it. And it'll bring up all this resistance for us to not actually move forward on this thing that we desire. So for a coach like me, so much of the work that I do is that inner work of helping my clients move through those fears, to release those fears, to see that they're simply obstacles, to see that they're simply not true, and to shift the point of view that she can do it, that she is good enough. And that's what the inner work is, because it's really important, because this is what I see with entrepreneurs all the time. And not just entrepreneurs, that's like anyone in life, whether you want to lose 10 pounds or have the relationship of your dreams or build your business, anything that we desire, those fears are going to come up. And people don't know how to deal with those fears. They get stuck in those fears, and they just stop moving forward on the thing they want to do. So what I do in my coaching is I actually support my clients in walking through the fears so they can continue to move forward on the life of their dreams.
That's something I honestly hear so much. I hear a lot of people don't understand how they're different and they're unique, and the overwhelm. I mean, we live in like an information society, and it is so overwhelming. There's a million different social media platforms. There's so much to learn. And I get emails all the time from listeners who are overwhelmed and don't know where to start. So can you take us through how you would deal with that?
Yes, because I deal with it every day for myself.
I know.
Right?
Same.
Yeah.
You do
a podcast, and you do a blog, and you have clients, and you have a family, and there's a lot to do. So here's how I describe it. Our mind, when we have like a to-do list and we think of like all these things we have to do, what happens, the overwhelm happens in our mind, because our mind can only be in the present moment. So if you think about it this way, the mind right now can only actually focus on, if someone's listening to what when they listen to this podcast, they can only actually listen to this podcast. But we as humans think we can multitask and do all these things. But the mind only lives in the present. So it can only handle what is happening right now. But what happens is we have a to-do list in front of us, or thoughts in our head of, I've got to get the groceries, I got to pick up the kids, I got to do a blog, I got to get my podcast done, I got to email these customers, I got to work with these clients. so what happens is the mind sees that to-do list and it thinks it all has to be done right now because it only lives in the present moment. So instead of being able to focus on one thing at a time, we're shoving all this stuff into our minds, and our mind goes, red alert, all this has to be done right now, because the mind doesn't know how to compartmentalize things. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So that's where the overwhelm comes in, because our mind is like, everything has to be done right now. And then we go into panic and overwhelm because it's not done. So the way to move through that is to actually compartmentalize all the things that we have to do, all the to-do lists, and break them down into teeny tiny next steps. So let me give you an example. If you got to pick up your kids and you got to get dinner ready and you got to do laundry and you got to get your podcast done and your blog and all these things, well, you basically break the very next thing down that you have to do into the teeniest, tiniest steps. So if the next thing you have to do is write your blog, you like literally take out a piece of paper and figure out what's the next step to write the blog. Is it to think of ideas for the blog? Because even in a blog, if you go, I'm going to write a blog, there's like a million steps involved. You got to figure out the topic. You got to do some research. You got to sit down and write it. You got to type it up. You got to post it, or you got to send it to your virtual assistant to post. Like there's already 6 steps involved at least in writing a blog. So the way that you get out of overwhelm is you think of the very smallest next step to be done to write that blog post. And if that is brainstorm 3 ideas for your blog post, that's the very next step. It's not even writing the blog. So then the mind can relax, because my mind can go, oh, well, I can think of 3 ideas for a blog, and I'm not thinking about the 18 other things that have to go with it. So that's what I do with my clients, is we break things down into teeny tiny next steps that take like 10 to 15 minutes, and then they can actually start moving forward on those things instead of trying to do it all at once.
Such good advice. And I love how you said that we think that we can multitask. And I've talked a lot about that on the podcast, how multitasking isn't real and you can't toggle. You end up just toggling between task and task. There's no doing 2 things at once.
No, it's not. And that's one thing that I'm always working with myself on and my clients too, is really slowing down and taking things one by one. Because we think if we multitask, we can get all done. But what you said is accurate. It's going to take us basically twice as long to get the thing done if I've got 5 browser windows open on my computer screen instead of the 1 browser window and complete it and go on to the next task. I'm going to get way more done. We just think we can multitask, but we actually can't.
So true. And what do you say to women who feel like they are not that different than the next person? Or, you know, how you said that those fears get in the way and you just think, I'm exactly like the next person. I'm not special. I can't do this in my business. How do you work with women who feel that way?
Yeah, this is great, because I'm actually currently working with a couple clients on this right now, because what's interesting is it's such a big world out there. You know, there's billions of people on this planet. And so, you know, when you think about, like, for you with your podcast and your business, you know, are you going to reach all is your customer base all the billions of people on the planet? No. Is your customer base, a couple 100,000 people on the planet? Yeah, sure. Could it be 500,000? Could it be 1 million? Sure. But it's not like however many billion people are on the planet. So the first thing is to realize that there's so many people on the planet and we all relate to different people differently. So for instance, let's call it in the field of business building, you know, there's tons of great experts out there and there's tons of resources, but I connect with one person's way of speaking. Like I'll watch a podcast or watch a webinar or listen to a podcast and I'll hear the same, you know, types of advice. It's like, let's call it how to use your Facebook to drive your business. And I could hear that from 5 different people, and it could be literally pretty much the same information. But one of those people I'm actually going to connect with the way they speak, the way their message comes through, their branding, their pictures. There's something about them that I really enjoy. And so that's the thing that I think is interesting, is that you don't have to be so like different in the messaging. I mean, does that make sense? But how you present yourself is going to be different. Mm-hmm. And that's the uniqueness that each of us bring to our brand. You know, like what I do, with, I'm a business and a life coach, and there's a lot of business and life coaches out there, but it's like, what's the Arian Alexander difference? My clients come to me because there's something in me that sparks confidence in them, and there's something very empowering about me that they love. Whereas a different coach might come from a much like, softer, more like vulnerable, more like, quiet place. And they might resonate with that more. But like, that's not me. Like, I'm a Rock Your Life coach, like, I'm like, no, like, let's get in there and let's dig around and let's see what's happening. And that style isn't for everyone, but it's for the customers that come to me. It's for my people that I draw in. So does that make sense?
It does. It does. So how do you actually take people through to figure out what makes them unique? Well,
first thing is to, so if I were walking a client through this, I would have her figure out, what she's best at, obviously, is like, what is she great at? And also what lights her up the most? What part of her business lights her up the most so that she's most excited about working with clients in this way, or her business? And then also seeing, how that is unique. It's called the blue ocean. It's like finding your blue ocean. What does make you different in the field of like my health and fitness. Okay, here's an example. My health and fitness expert. So, there's tons of health and fitness experts out there. So what makes her different? So instead of just being a health and fitness expert, I'm like, well, what do you do better than anyone? Like, what's your area of specialty? And she's like, my butt. She's like, my ladies that come to me, they all want my booty, and they all get the best booties because I can create the best booty program on the planet, and they all get awesome results. And I'm like, great. Do you see? You just made yourself stand out from the field of health and fitness experts. I'm like, then let's just talk about the booty. And so she created, her whole program is around how to get a great bikini booty, and the bikini booty workouts and bikini booty boot camps. And she has a whole brand built around this because that's her unique specialty that she can hang her hat on, that she's the expert at. So that's what anyone that's listening to the podcast that has a business, you can really sit down and make a list of what you're great at, like what's your area of expertise, and then also make a list of what brings you most joy, what lights you up when you're working with any of your customers or clients, and then make a list of like, how can you make that difference? How can you make your brand stand out in that, really niche area? And that will start giving people information as to, what does make them different in the marketplace.
Yes, that is such a good exercise, and I hope everyone really does it. And just think about, what do people ask you about all the time? Like your client and her booty,
Yeah.
Just what do people constantly come up to you and ask you about all the time? That's such a great way to get started.
Yeah, I love that, because it's like, it's also listening to what people ask you about and what they comment about. Mm-hmm. And how, like, for me, how I started really understanding my brand and what, why people come to me is because I started paying attention to what what they reflect to me. And this is what I constantly hear from women. I mean, like, all the time. They go, "You're so confident." And they're just in passing. They'll be like, "God, you just have so much confidence. Wow, you just radiate when you walk in the room. Oh my God, your energy is just amazing. You're so powerful." So the words I hear all the time are radiant, powerful, confident, and fun. And so I'm like, oh, if people are always saying this to me just in passing, then they're seeing something in me that they want and that they admire.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's interesting to start listening to what people say to you, what they appreciate about you, what they reflect to you, because that's what they're seeing in you that they want more of in themselves.
So, since you brought up the confidence thing, tell us, how do you help women find their confidence?
It's so fun. I love working with women on their confidence. Okay, so here's a great example. One of my clients I was working with, she's this awesome entrepreneur, and we really started working on her dating, because she was like, she's this gorgeous, successful woman, and she was like, like, my love life is crap, and she's like, I need help in this area. And I was like, oh, I love working with women around this. And so basically she wasn't confident with men. Like, she would give them the guys she would go out with, she would give them all the power to like choose her and like make her feel okay and make her feel approved of. And so I was like, okay, we have to, like, how do we start building your confidence in this area, that you have so much to offer and that you, that they can come to you, that you can really draw in this man who you're really excited about instead of waiting to be chosen. And so the confidence piece is just a muscle that gets built. It's not like, for me, people go, you're so confident. And I'm like, oh, honey, like, I have built my confidence. It's not like I was born confident. I'm working on it all the time. And so the same thing I do with my clients. So with my client that was kind of not confident with men, I literally had her practice. Like, her homework was to flirt. I would go, okay, so this weekend, like, what are you doing this weekend? And she would tell me, I'd go, okay, so if you're going to dinner with your girlfriends at this restaurant, I'm like, your homework is to flirt and to actually, and to like give your number to somebody, like be bold and just be like, hey, like, it would be so fun to hang out or get tea or something. And that's super courageous for a woman to like, actually, give her number to someone, because we're used to the guys asking, and that's great, and it's all fine. But the courageous confidence piece, the muscle gets built when we can break out of our comfort zone and actually do something that builds that confidence. So for my client, for her, it was like, I was like, you need to flirt with the valet guys and flirt with your waiter and flirt with, whatever guys you're in contact with. Just start assuming that everyone thinks you're fabulous. And it has nothing to do with your looks or your weight or whatever, because the confidence is inside. So it's like she started flirting and she was like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable doing this. And she started like, inviting, like, giving a guy her number and being like, hey, like, it'd be so fun to get to know you or whatever, have tea or, something very light and easy, and not asking him out, but just inviting a conversation. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable. I was like, great, keep going. I know you're uncomfortable because this isn't supposed to be easy. Building confidence is never easy. And after a few weeks, she was like, oh my God, I feel so different around men. She goes, I feel like I am the prize and that, I get to just have so much fun with men, and like they come to me easier and they ask me out easier, and I have more fun when I'm with them because I'm not waiting to be chosen. I'm actually having fun with myself instead of waiting for them to like make the date fun. So that's part of the confidence piece, is just practicing whatever is scary to actually do it.
So good. So I think a lot of the listeners, their situation would be either they're just starting their company, or they have a blog that they just started writing, or maybe they're creating a cookbook and they're kind of not ready to tell the world about it yet. Wow. So what do you think are some actionable steps that they can take? Because I think a lot of times the scariest step to take is telling like the people that you really care about instead of perfect strangers. It's always easier to tell strangers. So how do you suggest people get confidence in kind of putting themselves out there in the business world?
Yeah. I was just having this conversation with one of my clients who's a coach yesterday. So here's an example. She's a coach, and she does one-on-one coaching, and she's stepping out there into doing group coaching and more online, getting seen online. And then she was asked to speak. So here's a perfect example. She was asked to speak at like a women's group, like a, kind of a junior, whatever, like a women's social group. And so she, emails me and she's like, oh my God, I was just asked to speak this group. And like, I'm so nervous and I don't want to speak. And and I emailed back and I was like, just say yes. And she was like, what? And I said, just say yes. Like, this is how you build your, of course you're going to be scared to speak to a group of women, but this is how you move out of your comfort zone and build your confidence. So she said yes to do this group, with this women. And I walked her through like how to set her up to, have fun and do it well. And then, and she just today posted on Facebook about her group coaching program. And she texted me, she's like, oh my God, I feel so uncomfortable. I'm so scared. I can't believe I put myself out there like this. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. Like, this is part of it. So for anyone who's listening that is scared to share with a family or share, in public with social media or whomever, the thing is that, I would say to really start with the trusted people first, because it is like, you want to keep it, you want to get like positive affirmations at first so that you can build that confidence. And, you know, if there's someone that's, you know, is going to be like, wah, wah, it's like, well, don't necessarily tell them yet, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like the naysayers, like you kind of know who's going to be like, what are you talking about? And you also know the people who are going to be like, God, I'm so proud of you. That's so exciting. And so I'm always encouraging my clients to share with the people who you know are going to be supportive first, so that you can build that affirmation, build that confidence there. And then you just have to take the risk of knowing that not everyone's going to love what you do, especially when you change. Because as someone who's listening is building her business, building his business, building anything outside the comfort zone, most of the people that are used to you don't necessarily want you to change. And so when you start getting more bold and like taking action steps and moving into a new energy field, a more expanded place in life, some people don't necessarily want that. They don't even know they don't want it, because this is all unconscious, but they don't, you know, they're like, we kind of like people to stay the same. And just knowing that is part of the process. Is like, you know what, there's going to be some people who aren't going to be excited for me. And that's okay, because what they think has nothing to do with me. I was just listening to one of my teachers the other day, and they're kind of like, there's three schools of thought. There's my business, there's your business, and there's God's business, spirit, life, whatever you want to call it. Does that make sense? It's like, there's my business, and I get to take care of my business, which is how I feel about myself, what I can, you know, how I create in the world, how I show up in the world. There's your business, and what you think of me is actually none of my business. That's totally your business. Your opinions of me actually have nothing to do with me. And then there's spirit's business. And, you know, spirit's business is whatever I want that to be too, which for me is a place of full support and trust and love.
And I love that you said look for those positive affirmations first, because there are always going to be those naysayers. But if you can do something that makes you feel really good with those positive affirmations, maybe make a document on your computer or save them in your phone. And then when you're feeling down or you get hit with one of those naysayers, go back and look at that document that you've created with all those positive, great things, and it will immediately make you feel better.
Oh, that's such a great idea. I love that, right? And, you know, I'm always a big fan of like collecting testimonials and, you know, whatever things nice people say, because it's nice to have that to look back at.
It is. And I think sometimes we can if you hear 50 nice things and you hear one thing that isn't so nice, you really dwell on that not so nice thing instead of thinking about all those people that told you the great things.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And so that's why it's so important to really understand that it's such a tricky thing to really sink in and get, but this is part of the inner work, is knowing that whatever somebody says, it actually has nothing to do with me. For instance, if somebody, it's all projections and reflections. So the fears, let's say, you know, someone listening has grown up in a family who, never went for their dreams. Like the whole family just like works and like doesn't really work in something they love and you know, has just worked for money and like doesn't, you know, the messages weren't there to like live your dreams and really go for it and really, you know, be of service on the planet in a big way of whatever that means to you. So if someone listening has grown up in an environment like that, and then he or she is like, has this purpose, this path of the heart that's calling them forward. And it's like, you know what, I'm going to create this really cool business and I'm going to do this blog and I'm going to, you know, sell this thing, or I'm going to coach, or I'm going to do whatever it is. And they start moving forward towards that. Well, the family, that the mindset and the patterns and the unconscious beliefs in the family that are like, stay normal, don't necessarily go for your dreams. If they aren't supportive of the person who's actually breaking out of that pattern, it has nothing to do with the person breaking out of the pattern. It's their own beliefs, their own limitations, their own unfulfilled dreams and desires that they're just projecting out onto the person.
Yes, totally. And I think that is such a powerful message that everyone needs to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Because chances are, I mean, if you're listening, you are that unique person in your family who is taking the risk or the leap. And I think that is such a great thing to hear.
Yeah, all those people listening, I mean, obviously the people that listen to your podcast and follow you are dreamers and are interested in creating something amazing. And I tell you, this path is not for the faint of heart, you know, because this isn't how we're brought up in school. We're not brought up to be like, okay, what is your heart desire to create? And how can you be of service to people on the planet? And like, just create a business. And no, we're taught like, go to school and go to college and get a job and like work. And that's what we're taught. Nobody's like, what do you really desire to do? So there's everyone listening, I know you have a dream in your heart. I know you desire to create and to help people and to, do something really cool. And this is a path that is not the norm for the world. And so it takes a strength of heart to walk this path.
Yes, it does. I don't know if you've ever seen the graph that it's like what you think success is going to be like and then what success really is. And it's that like crazy squiggly line, but it's so true.
It is. And it's so funny because even, I'm sure you can relate to this, but like I have this awesome coaching practice and, I work with amazing people all over the planet and have great followings and create great products. And then, I'm a working actor as well. I'm on amazing TV shows and so much fun. And I literally have people say like, how's that little coaching practice of yours going? And I just laugh because I'm like I have a full blown like business, right? Like it's an amazing business. And people be like, how's that little hobby? And I'm like, oh my God. And I used to get so upset because I'm like, how does my family not get this? That like, I have an amazing successful businesses that are killing it. But my family like doesn't get it. And I just laugh because I'm like, right, it has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm smiling because I think everyone can relate. Honestly, I mean, that's why they have masterminds and mentorship and business coaches, because you need to be with people that get it and can help push you forward.
Yes, exactly.
So tell us, what would you say if someone is just starting out, what is the number one piece of advice you give someone who's just getting started?
I love that. The number one piece of advice for someone who's just getting started is I think it's take things step by step. It's hard to put it into one piece of advice, but I think especially now with people who are just getting started, there's so many options. There's 5 main social media channels, and there's blogs, and there's podcasts, and there's how to reach your audience, and Facebook ads, and there's just so many things. So it's like take it step by step. Like choose the one thing that you can build your business with today. So for instance, if that's let's call it a coaching business. If it's coaching, is it one-on-one coaching? Is it group coaching? Like what's the one thing, the one place you want to start, and what's the easiest place to start? And just do that. I see so many coaches and people building their business. And when I say coach, I mean, there's all types of different coaches and, but it's just a general term, but it's like, they want to do it all. And I'm like, well, maybe you just need to get a few clients first. Like maybe you need to coach your friends first and see how that goes and get some testimonials. Like don't jump full blown into like a huge coaching business yet, because you got to get experience. And so it's really what's the one thing that you want to focus on that's simple, that you can create and you can commit to, because consistency, that's probably the second thing, is like consistency is pick something small, pick something that you can start with. And then secondly, be consistent. Just be consistent.
I love this advice so much because I see it all the time too. And I've been there too. When you're starting out and you want to build this business, so you think you need to offer all these different things, and then you don't get anyone signing up and you move on to the next thing instead of focusing. But slow down and focus and make one thing work before you move on to the next thing.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Such good advice. So now I have to ask you something fun, because you're an actor.
Yes.
So how has being an actor helped you in your coaching business?
Oh my gosh. It's so great because I really have just the best of both worlds. My coaching so influences my acting career, and my acting career madly influences my coaching career, because what I've learned, I've been a working actor for many years here in Los Angeles. And like I said, I'm on all kinds of cool TV shows. I was just on the O.J. Simpson show. That's like the hottest show right now. I was just on that this season. And that was super fun. And what I've learned as an actor is like, okay, so the job as a working actor is I audition all the time. Like my job is to audition. So my job is to spend tons of time and commitment and energy and money to get ready for these auditions. And it takes a lot of time and energy and money and everything to get ready for auditions, because I want to book the job, obviously. But, booking the job and being on TV is like less than 1% of the time that I'm actually working as an actor. 99.9% of the time I'm auditioning. And so it's a really interesting business to be in, because what I learned is I have to be so unattached to outcome, because I audition, let's call it I audition 40 times to book one job. That's a lot of auditions.
That's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot of time and energy and money and commitment and mindset and driving across LA. And I do it because I love it, because it's so much fun. So what it teaches me is the unattachment to the outcome. Because if I went in every 40 times audition and was like, I have to book this job. I have to book this job. Oh my God, I'm a loser if I don't book this job. I'm not valuable if I don't book this job. Then I would be miserable. Because most people walk through life with what I call the dangling carrot syndrome. And I can relate this to actors, but everyone listening understands this. There's a dangling carrot in front of us. So as an actor, it's like booking the job, getting the job on the TV show is the carrot that's dangling. Oh, I have to book that job. I have to book that job. If I spend my life going for that dangling carrot, and for anyone listening, it might be, making $1 million, having a husband, having a kid, having whatever, this successful business, that could be their dangling carrot, losing 10 pounds. Whatever the dangling carrot is, if we go through life waiting for the dangling carrot to make us happy, we're missing out on life.
Whoa. Yes. 100% so true.
Right? So as an actor, I'm going to these auditions and I can't worry about the dangling carrot, or I'm going to be miserable. So what I learned, in the many years of doing this, is like my joy factor has to be in the journey. My joy factor is in the audition process, is going to acting classes, is getting ready for the auditions, is coaching for the auditions, is figuring out my outfits for the auditions, is taping my auditions, on my camera so I can see, critique myself. And it's not about booking the job, because that's like the icing on the cake. So obviously that supports me in my coaching and with my clients, because every client comes to me with a goal of this thing that she thinks is going to make her happy when she gets the goal. And I know firsthand it's not about the thing. It's about the journey. It's about how do I be happy in the journey. So that's what I'm always working with my clients on, is like, how do you be happy right now while you're in the journey of moving towards your goal?
That's so powerful. And I hear that a lot too, especially in the health and fitness world, that people are going to be happy when they lose 20 pounds, or people are going to be happy, or they'll start, it's like the whole start tomorrow thing. But so I love that. And I've never heard of that term, the dangling carrot. And I think that is so powerful. Yeah. 'Cause it always changes. I get it in health and fitness. I mean, girl, let me tell you, I'm always like, if I just lose my last 5 pounds, and I'm like, then what? Then what? Like, I'm going to be different? Like, I still have to go to bed with myself each night. It's still my thoughts. I might be 5 pounds lighter, but like, does that make me a different person? No. Does it take away any stress? No. It just like, it's 5 pounds less. It's just a thing. So I totally understand that you deal with that all the time, of people always thinking they'll be happier, or, more approved of, more validated if they lose the weight or get the boyfriend or make the money. And it just is simply an illusion that we have created in life, because if I wait for that, I'm missing out on the joy of this very moment. Love that so much.
Yeah.
And when you had emailed me about being on the podcast, you had shared a video that was so cool about you working with John Travolta. So I would love if you would just share the message about working with John Travolta.
Yeah, it was so cool. So I was on The People versus O.J. Simpson, which
I love. I totally binge watched it.
Oh, it's such an amazing show. If anyone listening hasn't watched it, like, go watch it. It's on FX. It's 10 episodes. It just completed, and it's amazing. And yeah, so my scene, I was in episode 7, and I'm at the top of the show, and so you guys will see me. And I'm in a scene with John Travolta. I'm a reporter interviewing John Travolta about the trial, and I didn't know until I got on set that day. It's kind of a secretive. Like a lot of times I show up on set and I kind of don't know what's the scene. Like it's just kind of, they keep things very secretive sometimes. So like I didn't know it was, going to be with John Travolta until I basically showed up that day. And so I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like my scene is with John Travolta. Hello, John Travolta. Like he's an icon. And so what happened was I found myself getting really nervous and really intimidated because it's John Travolta. And I got on set and I was like, when I first started doing the scene with him, like I just felt myself giving him all the power. And I felt myself being nervous. And I'm not usually like that on set. I'm usually really confident in myself. And so I just took a minute. And what happened was I got really present to myself and my surroundings. And I came back to I just took deep breaths and I went, wait, like this person does not have power over me just because he's been in the business forever and it's like hugely successful and famous. Like it doesn't mean he's better than me. It doesn't mean he has power over me. It just means he's another person standing across from me and we're both doing the same job as actors. And so in that moment, I realized I had just been giving my power away and I had to take my power back for myself. So what I learned was how easy it is for any of us, for anybody listening, to give our power away in so many situations. I've seen myself do that in the past in work situations where, I had a boss or something like that. I see that now when sometimes if I'm in a meeting with someone, like let's call it if I was in a meeting with like Richard Branson or something, and I'd be like, oh my God, he's so amazing and he's so much better than me. And it's like I just see how easy it is for any of us to give our power away to this other person. And when we can rein it back in, when I can rein it back in, when anyone listening can rein it back in and realize that no one has power over us. No one has power over me. I get to make all my decisions about how I feel about myself and how I walk through life and how I show up and how much I love myself and how proud I am of myself and how the confidence that I feel. And that was a huge lesson for me to be on set with John Travolta that day, to just see in action how easily I lost my power and how quickly I could bring it back to myself. So that's what I shared on my video. I have tons of videos on my YouTube page. It's just youtube.com/Arian Alexander. And that's one of them on there. But I'm so glad you mentioned that because it was so cool to share that experience.
Yeah. And I think we all have that person or a couple of people in our lives that make us feel like that. And I love that exercise of just realizing that why are you giving the power to them? You have the power. It's really, really such a great message and exercise to do when you're in the presence of someone that makes you feel like that.
Yeah, and I had so many people email me after I posted that video that said, thank you so much for posting this. This one lady emailed me and she's like, I literally went home and realized I was doing this with my husband. Like I was totally giving him all my power. And she goes, and it made me stop and like come back to myself and be so gentle with myself and know that I'm okay just as I am and I'm valid and I'm approved of and I'm lovable and I'm loved. And I was like, oh my God, like, that's amazing to be able to kind of instantly, see where she was giving her power away.
Yeah, I don't think people really could name that, what you just named, that you realize what's actually going on there. So I think just being able to name it and then kind of step back and see what's going on is something that's really, really important.
Yeah, definitely.
So now tell us one thing that you want our listeners to know about you that you think they don't know already.
Oh, I love this. One thing that they don't know about me that they would think they would know about me. Well, okay. So people always tell me, they go, like I said, they're always like, you're so confident and you're so like, you just are fearless. And I laugh because I go, I am not fearless. Oh my God, I just make myself do things. Like people think I walk through life. The fallacy is people think I walk through life and everything's easy. That like I just do things and I just meet people and I just talk to anyone. And I laugh because I go, no, I have to make myself talk to people. I can be so shy in social situations sometimes. And so that's what people don't know about me is that I'm actually can be really shy and I can actually be really not confident and I can actually have tons of fears. But the difference between me and most people is that I don't let that stop me. I rise above it and move through the comfort zone, the uncomfortableness, and get out of my comfort zone and just do it anyway.
I love that. I love that. And who really is fearless? I love how you said just make yourself do it. And that only doesn't apply to business or health. It transcends so many different topics. Just make yourself do it.
Yeah, one of the things that I always work with my clients on is that I call them scary phone calls. Because it's like, when you have to, like, not have to, but like if you're building your business and you need to reach out to someone, like there's somebody you need to call or could call to build a relationship with. Oh, here's a perfect example, Nicole. So your podcast. I was like looking through all these podcasts and I was like, you know what? I want to be a guest on some podcasts and I think that'd be so fun and being able to share with people's audiences and interact. And so I was like, I'm going to email some people and just see if they need people for their podcast and how could I be a guest on their podcast? And I was so scared because I was like, what if people are like, hi, no, you suck, forget it. We don't I didn't know what people were going to say. And I was totally nervous and scared of getting rejections. And then I was like, I'm going to do it because I think it's fun. And so literally I emailed you and I was like, hey, your podcast is awesome. Like, I'd love to be on your podcast. And you're like, yeah, that'd be great. And so we started this conversation and here we are. But that's a perfect example. Like people would be like, oh, do you totally do podcasts and guest blogs all the time? And I'm like, well, because I make myself reach out to people.
And the worst that can happen is someone says no, and then you move on and find the next person that will say yes.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Well,
and it's fun.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I have one thing that I love to provide for my clients and people when I'm doing podcasts and stuff is I have an awesome video series that's about breaking through these limiting beliefs, because my limiting beliefs are oh, someone's going to say no and they're going to hate me or whatever, some silly limiting belief I could have around, reaching out to people for podcasts. And so I have, I created a 5 steps to bust through your limiting beliefs. It's a 3-part video series that I love to give out to everyone who's listening to this podcast and, my clients as well. And it's awesome because it really walks you through so much of what we're talking about today.
And I will link to that. You can say the link right now, but I will definitely link to that in the show notes on my blog, and I'll say the website for that after.
Awesome. Okay. It's just www.arianfreebie.com, and it's ARRIANE freebie, FREEBIE.com. And you'll just, you'll get, it's actually a 4-part video series. I said it was going to be a 3-part video series on 5 steps to bust through your limiting beliefs, but I couldn't get it done in 3. I was having so much fun. So I have 4 videos and they're amazing. And I was like, people are loving them. So I can't wait for your listeners.
I love it. And it sounds awesome. So tell us where we can find you, usually your website and your social media handles.
Yeah, my website is just my name. It's arianalexander.com. Again, ARRIANE, Alexander, ALEXANDER.com. So that's my main website, and there's lots of cool things on there. My blog and, all about my Rock Your Life coaching. And then obviously on Facebook, I'm very active on Facebook, and it's just my name, facebook.com/ArianAlexander. And Twitter is at Arian1000. And Instagram is my name at Arian Alexander. So it's all very easy and simple.
Awesome. And I will link to everything in the show notes. You have been so much fun. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. It's so much fun. You're awesome. I love doing this with you, Nicole. It's been such a great time today.
Thank you.
And I know everybody listening I just hope everybody's having a really good time listening to us too.
I'm sure they did. And you can find all information about Arian in our show notes at NicoleCulverblog.com/podcast. You've been listening to the Blissful Bites podcast. If you like this episode, subscribe to the podcast so you can hear more inspiring interviews and helpful business tips. Do you want to connect and learn from your favorite food entrepreneurs? Are you trying to get unstuck and make your business more profitable? Get ready for the Food Entrepreneur Summit and have virtual coffee with all your favorite food entrepreneurs and bloggers. Text Food Summit to 44222 to learn more, or visit NicoleCulverblog.com/summit. Are you looking for a perfect breakfast or snack on the go? Try our Blissful Eats granola. Whether you're paleo or just a granola lover, you'll find one right for you. For 20% off your order, visit blissful-eats.com and enter code PODCAST at checkout.
This has been Blissful Bites, a food entrepreneur podcast. Thanks for listening.